Hi everyone, today we're going to discuss the beneficial ownership information that was established by the Corporate Transparency Act. We're going to discuss who needs to file, what needs to be filed, and when it should be filed. All right, so who needs to file? So let's read directly from the fincen.gov website. Fincen.gov is the department that will be collecting this information. All right, so today we're only going to discuss domestic entities. All right, so domestic reporting companies are corporations, limited liability companies, and any other entities created by filing of a document with a Secretary of State. All right, what that basically means is you are either a corporation or an LLC. You registered with the state, you received a certificate of incorporation. Okay, now this leads to the next question. Do I need to file if I am a sole proprietor? According to fincen.gov, you are not required to file if you are a sole proprietor. Reason being, according to their website, if you only filed an EIN, you filed for a DBA, but you never filed with the state to register, you are not considered a reporting entity. All right, so now, when should we file this form? When you'll be filing this form depends on when this business entity was created. So if you are an existing business or any business that was in existence prior to January 1st, 2024, you have until January 1st, 2025 to file this form. So in other words, you have almost a year to file this form. Don't wait a year, file it as soon as possible because down the line you'll forget, and this filing, late filing of this form or non-filing of this form will have significant penalties that we'll discuss later. So now, any entities though that will be created in 2024, so on January 1st, 2024 or after, but prior to January 1st, 2025, those companies will have 90 days from the date of incorporation or from the date, meaning the date when they received the filing document from the state. So you'll have 90 days from receiving the filing document from the state to file this form. Now, fast forward to 2025. So any companies that is created January 1st, 2025 and after, you will have 30 days within receiving the state document to file this form. All right, so just to summarize again, if you're an existing company, you have until January 1st, 2025. If you're created in 2024, basically, you have 90 days from the date of creation. And if you're created after January 1st, 2025, you have 30 days from the date of creation. All right, so now this leads to the next question. What information goes into this form? All right, what information will go depends, again, on when your business was created. So if you're an existing company, you only need to report beneficial owner of your entity. What is a beneficial owner? So a beneficial owner is an individual who either directly or indirectly exercises substantial control over the reporting entity. I'll explain what that is in a bit. Or owns at least 25% of the company. So number one, if you have an owner that owns 25%, his or her information is going into this form. If you have another individual who has substantial control, in other words, somebody who is a CEO, CFO, anybody else along that senior officer duty, that information will be going in. Or in another case, if you have another individual who is involved in decision making of the business, primary decision making, in other words, somebody who is involved in making sure what additional businesses the entity will be going into. Are we opening a new location? Are we taking new contracts? Are we terminating contracts? Or an individual who is in charge of obtaining financing, or an individual who is in charge of making sure the business stays structured, or their LLC, corporation, whatever you want to call it. Those individuals are important decision-making individuals. So owners that are 25% or more, or individuals that have substantial control that I just discussed. So these are for existing companies. Now, if you have a company that will be created in 2024 or after, along with the beneficial owners, we also need to report the applicant of the reporting company. The applicant of the reporting company, here it says that the individual who directly files the document that creates or registers the company, or the individual who is primarily responsible for directing or controlling the filing. In other words, if you have an individual who filed this document, he is an applicant, or an individual who is in charge of making sure this document is filed, he is an applicant. All right? So now that we have that information, what information regarding those individuals goes into this form? So for the applicants and the beneficial owner, it's going to be the individual's name, date of birth, residential address, and a identifying number of the document that was used to identify this person. In other words, a driver's license ID number or a passport. Both documents needs to be valid and non-expiring. This doesn't mean that you provide them with a social security number. No, instead, it's an ID or a passport that is valid. Now, failure to file this form will have significant penalties. $500 per day, up to $10,000. It could also have imprisonment if it contains wrong information. Also, if you go to fincent.gov, it will provide you with some exempt entities that is not required to file. Real quick, it has about 23 items, but I'll mention the item that might apply to you. Insurance companies, accounting firms, and inactive companies are not required to be filed, but there are more non-exempt listed companies out there. For example, broker-dealers, bankers. So go through the list. This is a summary of what beneficial ownership information form is.